The opinions expressed in this video reflect the opinions of the participants only, and do not reflect the opinions of the producer or the University of Michigan Law School. The University of Michigan Law School in no way endorses this video. Founded in 1859 in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the University of Michigan Law School is one of the nation's top law schools. While the University of Michigan as a whole has more than 40,000 students, the law school has an enrollment of approximately 1,200 students. It is housed in a gorgeous Gothic quadrangle that was built between 1924 and 1933 with funds donated by an alumnus, William Cook. A stipulation in his trust ensures that all future additions will be built in the same style. Let's meet some students.
My name's Jordan Seidel. I'm a third-year law student.
My name is Crystal Gillum and I am from Portsmouth, Ohio.
My name's Corey. I originally come from California.
I'm from Laurel, Maryland originally, and I went to the University of Michigan as well as for undergrad.
My name is Marco Rigao. I am an LLM student at Michigan. I actually graduated from Michigan with a JD before the LLM.
Ann Arbor has a pretty tough climate. With an average January temperature of 16 degrees Fahrenheit, do the students get tired of the cold weather?
It's not so bad the first semester, but by the second semester you're definitely feeling it.
The winters are a little harsher than I am used to, but it's still a great school and you shouldn't let that stop you.
No matter how bad the winter gets, the fall completely makes up for it because it was amazing. Just every color you can imagine on the trees.
Go blue! There you go, go blue! Go blue! Fuck yeah! Let's go, blue! Let's go!
Michigan typically has one of the top football teams in the country. Do the law students get into the sports of the school?
Absolutely. In fact, out in the Lawyers Club in the middle of the quad, before games, oftentimes people tailgate, and a lot of times the University Alumni Association actually sets up large tents, and they have barbecues and cookouts actually in the middle of the quad.
Of course it's Michigan, so we love our football. I think that's also a big draw for the guys, I guess, is that they love and they want to be a part of Michigan football. Basketball too, there's a law student section there. We're all very much part of that.
The first couple times I just came to visit the town, I was shocked by all of the people wearing Michigan apparel and yeah, they really seem to get involved. Football is a huge thing.
These frat houses here behind you, all of these frat houses put gigantic speakers up on the front lawn, and there's basically block party all the way down to the stadium, all the way down that way. And it starts at about 8:30 in the morning for the early risers and goes all the way till the game. And then after the game, everybody floods the bars on South University and Main Street, and you end up with just the whole town is one big party, whether or not we win or lose. So the whole city, if you're a sports fan, the whole city lights up every single weekend almost for the games.
We're very much a part of the larger sports network and the larger culture of the university itself.
The whole university is open to the students of the law school. I'm just saying, the workload at the law school is really intense, and a lot of people are really serious about, sort of they want to be lawyers, so they want to take as many like black letter law, like hard law classes as they can. So those tend to venture out less.
Oh yeah, football's huge. That's one of the greatest parts of coming to University of Michigan, the Saturday football games. There's just an electricity all over campus. You can just feel it. And even people who come from off campus who are just visiting, I mean, it's just like a Michigan family almost.
As one of the top law schools in the country, the workload must be tough. How tough is it?
It's quite a workload. You do have to treat it like it's a job and not just a 9-to-5 job. You might have to work maybe until 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening rather than just 5 o'clock. But you'll find that after the semester goes on and you're getting used to what you're doing, that you'll be able to read the cases a little bit faster and you'll adjust and be able to shorten the workload a little bit.
On a daily basis, probably about 6 hours a day, I'd say.
The thing with the workload is that the first year, you don't choose what you're doing, right? They just give it to you. You're taking contracts, torts, property, civil procedure. Then the next 2 years, it's actually up to you how much you do. I'm rare in the sense that I probably did more work my second year than my first year. But a lot of people, after the first year, they can really scale back and lead a more sort of normal life.
Everybody takes the same basic classes, whatever law school you go to the first year. I'm lucky, I feel like I'm really lucky is because some of my professors have actually influenced the laws in these areas. My civil procedure professor was Professor Cooper, and he helped write the federal rules of civil procedure. So here's this guy he knows it.
You always hear horror stories about 1L year, and the professors aren't quite as harsh as what you might expect, but it definitely is a challenge, but you learn a lot, and I mean, if you're interested in what you're reading, it's really exciting.
The professors here, they're the go-to people in these subject areas, and I'm lucky to experience that. I think that makes it easier on the workload, because not only is it just teaching you it, but they actually engage you in the whole thing. I don't think you get that at other law schools.
Of course, if you join a journal, then that's a whole other, ton of work that you're adding to yourself. I mean, people do 20 hours of, work a week for a journal, and that would be like normal for some people. So, you can definitely, you can take it easy, or you can basically kill yourself if you want to. There's always more work.
Does the school emphasize theory or practice more?
I feel like Michigan's is very theoretical, and a lot of other law schools aren't. A lot of other law schools are very practical. Here are the rules, follow them. Michigan's, why do we have these rules in federal and civil procedure? Why do we have this property system? Could we change it? Just exploring other things, and I think that adds to your education.
How do you find the academic atmosphere?
I think it's extremely collegial. It's just my sense of competitiveness has been that there's practically like none. And I find it surprising because the grade curve is very, very harsh. But I think a lot of people will ask for outlines in the list serve. There's an email address that everyone gets email sent to that, and people are constantly asking for outlines, and people will send you 2-3 outlines for a class, and they don't ask for anything in exchange.
How heavily does the faculty use the Socratic method?
There's more compassion on the part of a lot of teachers than you might be led to believe, but it is rigorous, it's challenging. The first couple weeks you go home with your head hurting a little bit and your world just kind of turned over, but it expands the way you think about things, and it's a growing process, but it makes you feel like you're expanding and you're growing.
Why law school? What do you plan to do with your degree?
I couldn't even get a job at Best Buy when I graduated from University of Michigan undergrad. Nobody was hiring, the prospects were miserable, and I just wasn't really mature enough. So to be honest, I chose law school simply because I could, and I didn't want to stop being a student. But now that I'm here, I'm really glad. I think it was a great idea, and there's so many doors that have opened up, especially coming from a school like Michigan, which is such a big name, not only academically, but it sounds kind of ridiculous, but the football teams and the sports teams, everybody knows Michigan, even overseas. What I'd love to do is immigration law or criminal defense, that kind of thing. International stuff has always interested me. I love languages and I love travel. So I'd love to do something, maybe work for the government overseas, legal counsel at an embassy. All those options are open here. We have a lot of people from Michigan who do that, and you have a lot of alumni connections. So I'm counting on those to help me along the way, definitely.
My grandfather, my father, my sister, my uncle, my aunt, they're all lawyers. So it was almost like what didn't draw me to law in the first place. Why didn't I go straight from college? I guess, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess.
I worked in a government affairs department for a cable company for a couple years, and I worked with attorneys, and basically I did the same work as they did, of course without the pay and the, so it seemed like, the right thing to do if I'm going to be doing that type of work anyways, to get the law degree.
I think I would like to practice sort of corporate law and stuff like that before I start teaching, but eventually I would like to teach.
I feel like the law has greatly impacted my life. And I said part of this in my mission statement to the law school is that my parents are immigrants from Jamaica. And when they came here, the immigration laws were very lenient. Now the immigration laws, as we all know, after 9/11, they're very strict. I just feel like the law has impacted my life so much with immigration, affirmative action, other things. My husband's biracial, I'm biracial. Maybe 40 years ago, we couldn't get married, but now we are. So I just feel like the law has impacted my life so greatly that I will also want to make that impact on the law, and I also want to help other people.
I'm just really interested in the Constitution, about how to make basically the country maintain it as a good place and make it better.
Is legal writing emphasized?
When I started, there was a 2-semester course, and you went through like writing a memo to writing a motion, you know, for a court. So you basically ran the entire spectrum of sort of documents that you would find yourself writing, you know, the career.
The Law Quadrangle is a gorgeous set of buildings. What is it like to go to school in this type of setting?
I love it. We have a joke that our school looks like Harry Potter.
It was almost like coming to Hogwarts.
You sometimes feel like you're sort of in Hogwarts or something like that. You're walking around and the building is sort of, you know, the halls are dark and the architecture looks like you're, you know, in this castle. I mean, even the way they built the school, it sort of closes itself off from the rest of campus, you know, and it sort of shows something about the law school, which is that it's very self-contained, you know. There's a lot of people who never venture out to the rest of the university, which I think is a mistake because the university is great and there's a lot of really good graduate programs and you can take classes in them.
I sit in class and I'm still constantly amazed by just how beautiful the architecture is. So I was very impressed with the architecture of the building.
My first visit here, I was in awe. There was a sublime factor almost where you're just so overwhelmed and in awe of what you're seeing that it's kind of hard to believe that you'll be spending your days in such a cool place.
A lot of other schools are modern and glass and all that stuff. I think this adds to, it feels like I go to law school. It feels like professional atmosphere.
I think it's awesome. I think it's really amazing. One of the reasons that I like going to school here so much is simply because not only am I 2 minutes away from class and I could literally go to class wearing a t-shirt and shorts even when it's 30 degrees out, but also because I live in essentially the closest thing we're going to find to a castle here in the middle of Michigan. It's just really nice to be able to walk into the cafeteria, which looks like something out of Harry Potter, or even the reading room, which really does look like something out of Harry Potter. It's just really a nice place to be able to go and relax, and it's very kind of majestic, or it screams of royalty. You feel really special when you're sitting in the reading room grinding over your bar review books. You just feel ready to learn. I know it sounds nerdy as heck, but you feel ready to just go at it and learn and develop here.
The modern Subterranean Law Library stands in stark contrast to the rest of the building. How do you like it?
It is a little interesting walking from the old stone halls into a more modern design, but it gives diversity. I mean, anything gets a little tiring after a while, and so it's nice to have a sort of an explosion of modern design after a day of walking the sort of Gothic cathedral-type halls.
How does the administration relate to students?
You know, they pretty much held the 1L's hands all the way through orientation, so they're definitely very involved and they're willing to help as much as you need.
I think what I really appreciate about Michigan is I feel during the admissions process, they took a chance to get to know you. Sarah Zierfrost, she runs the admissions department. She knows you by name. That's how much she's committed to choosing the best students for the school. And so at orientation, she knew me. She knew how I grew up. She knew my parents were immigrants. She knew where I grew up. I think that adds to the culture of the law school. You feel like you're a part of something, and you feel like I was chosen not just because of my scores, because everybody has high scores. Everybody has high grades. You're chosen because of you and your personality.
How do you find the recruiting and academic services?
There's no problem finding a job. When they say everyone gets a job, they mean it. Quite a few hundred, in fact, employers from all over the country come here to interview us. All we basically have to do is sign up, and we do that online. So you might interview with 20, 30 employers in a week before school starts, and you end up flying back and forth from New York or California or Chicago or Miami or wherever you're looking. So you select based on practice area and geography, and the rest of it is handled by career services. All you basically have to do is show up and impress people.
Where do people tend to go after school?
People just spread all over the country, you know. I think that the majority of students go to New York. That's the Not the majority, but that's the highest number of people, you know, like where most people take the bars in New York. But there's plenty of people who go to LA, San Francisco, lots of people go to Chicago too, which is the Midwest.
Is a car vital to go to the University of Michigan?
Do you need a car to go here? Absolutely not. I live basically on this corner, and my classes are more or less on this corner. So I don't even have to walk more than 50 yards to get to the furthest place away from my room.
If you want to go grocery shopping to the supermarket outside of town, then yes, but to go to the school now. I walk every day.
A car is not essential in Ann Arbor. Everything is so nearby, everything you need is so close to you that there's really no need for a car.
How do you like Ann Arbor as a city?
Ann Arbor is amazing. I've never come to a town where I've immediately loved the ambiance and the people and the things to do so immediately as was the case with Ann Arbor. It's a great town, always something to do.
There's a lot to do in Ann Arbor for sort of early 20s people, you know, because there's such a large young population here.
I love Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is a great selling point for the university. It's really cool that we're in the Midwest, but we have we have the city, and it's very focused on culture, it's very focused on art. It has its own personality. And I really do feel like you get to see the beauty of Michigan in Ann Arbor. The trees in the fall with the leaves and everything like that. The law school is exceptionally beautiful. And no matter what season, the law school shows its beauty.
I like the town a lot. There's a lot to do, but it still has the small town feel.
How would you describe the social scene and nightlife available to law students?
Last weekend, I went to the Royal Shakespeare Company, had a play, had Julius Caesar on Friday night. And on Saturday night, I had tickets for the Northwestern game. But there's plenty of stuff like that to do.
Despite what people may say, I've had more opportunities my first semester here at law school to go out and have fun with interesting people than I've had at any other point in my life.
My husband and I like to go to like some of the local breweries. There's quite a variety of things to do around here.
You're talking about a school that has about 50,000 students and faculty, and even though the law school is only about 1,200 people, you end up with just the whole town, the undergrads, the grad students, everybody meshes together. And as you've seen, the business school is literally across the street from the law school, and there's a little bar in between there where everybody kind of ends up mixing up. It's a pretty wild environment just because you can have the social life of an undergrad and you can still have the academics of a proper graduate school.
Would you describe the U of M Law School as expensive?
The law school itself is pretty expensive, right? The tuition and all that stuff is pretty expensive, especially if you're out of state. But then the living costs are much lower than they would be at, you know, Columbia or NYU.
Not too expensive. I mean, you can get by on relatively little. There's always good things to do around campus that don't cost a lot of money. Housing is pretty cheap here. It doesn't take a huge budget to live in Ann Arbor.
What has surprised you the most about your experience here?
What has surprised me the most? I guess I would say since Michigan is a top law school, the atmosphere, it's very collegial. I kind of expected it to be a little more cutthroat and competitive, but everybody here is very friendly and helpful.
Are you impressed with your fellow students?
The students here are from such a diversity of backgrounds that it's just an amazing experience inside and outside of the classrooms.
A lot of my friends are shockingly accomplished for people who are 24, 25, and there are also a lot of adults here, so to speak, grown-ups, if you will, that have actually had a real career for 8, 9, 10 years before they went to law school. You get guys who are engineers, computer scientists, software type guys, you get athletes, you get, we got the captain of the University of Michigan basketball team when I was an undergrad as one of my classmates.
Do people here watch Entourage?
People do watch Entourage. I like that show a lot. You have 1 or 2 Ari Golds in each class, but normally people are pretty friendly and nice, yeah.
What advice do you have for prospective students looking at law schools in general and U of M in particular?
Reach for your goal school. Decide what your goal school is and then reach for it. I only applied to the University of Michigan because this is the only law school I wanted to go to. This was it for me. If I didn't get in, then I wasn't going to go to law school.
Definitely don't stress out too much about it because in a couple months it'll be done and you'll be at a place hopefully that you'll enjoy. So just take it one step at a time and and present the best self that you can present.
The application process is really rigorous and it's really time consuming, but the first year of law school makes that seem quaint. So you should really make sure that it is what you want to do, because you don't want to be, in law school, $60,000 in debt after the end of your first year and realize that you don't want to be a lawyer, right? So I think the most important question really is, do you really want to be a lawyer? And it's definitely worth, taking some time off to figure it out, it's not a race.
Spend a lot of time researching different law schools because location is going to be important, as well as a variety of other factors like the atmosphere. If you're looking for something a little more competitive, maybe Michigan isn't for you, but I don't see any reason why anybody wouldn't want a friendly environment.
A lot of people here had great grades, but the thing that's going to differentiate yourself is going to be something like international experience, or experience that's very unique that nobody else has or very few other people have. What really differentiated myself, or allowed me to differentiate myself, was having a lot of international experience. I worked overseas. I was an exchange student in high school, and I had a really long track record of overseas interest. On top of that, I actually created my own major as an undergrad, my own concentration, chose my own courses and that kind of thing. I had started writing a book at that point about traveling and living in the developing world. These are the kind of things that admissions really looks at, those kind of traits and personality traits that you show in your essay and that are illustrated on your resume. Anything that shows that you really are going for, you're actually not just all talk, you're willing to take necessary steps to get yourself to where you want to be. They want to help you do that. That's one of the reasons that Michigan's such a great place to be.
Any last words?
Another great thing about the university is that they offer this debt management program, which is great because, yeah, a lot of my classmates are going to go to big firms and they're going to make $140,000 a year, and public interest work, you're lucky if you make $40,000 a year. So the law school allows you to pursue your goals, pursue your interests, and they'll also help you pay off your loans.
The legal profession is very keen on hierarchies, so if you were to tell me that a school that is in general less regarded than Michigan has a better IP program, you're probably still better off just coming here in terms of finding a job later on. For hiring, they care more about where you went than what you took.
As far as I know, from what I've experienced, Michigan is an extremely friendly law school. It's got great teachers, and it's a place where you can genuinely be prepared to meet what you'll meet in the real world.
No matter where you decide to apply to go to school, what you should do is make sure that you feel strongly enough about it and you actually just go for it. So that kind of thing where you think, oh, I'm going to farm out 1 million applications to a bunch of different law schools. I think admissions people really see that, and they know that you're not as interested. Even if you got a great essay, you got a great application, a lot of times they really are so adept at seeing through that kind of thing. It's shocking. I had lunch with the Dean of Admissions shortly after I got admitted here, and we asked her about her favorite applications or application horror story kind of things, and she actually remembered what I wrote in my application essay about a year ago. She didn't know I was coming to lunch that day, so she couldn't possibly have reviewed it. She actually remembered what I wrote. So that shows you that it's not a formality at all. Put everything you've got into that essay. It's your only chance to show what you've got going and differentiate yourself.